Dave Minnick spent his early years helping his family work the vineyards and hasn't left since. His folks had been growing Concord grapes for Welch's since 1970 before deciding on changing over to wine grapes in the early 1980s. Dave continued growing and selling tons of grapes to local winemakers for over a decade, but always had dreams of his own winery and label.
Ever since we planted wine grapes, that's what I wanted to do is make wine. So it took me, I think I was 28 when I started the winery.
In 1995, Dave's dream became a reality when he first opened Willow Crest Winery.
We started using select grapes off our vineyard for the label. We named the winery after there's a willow tree in the front yard of an old farmhouse here on the farm, and it's on a crest of a hill. So that was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, was pick a name for a winery.
What started out small has grown by leaps and bounds. Today, Willow Crest produces several thousand cases for distribution each year and has been repeatedly recognized and awarded for its wines.
Well, when I started Willow Crest, I wanted to be a little bit different than all the other wineries, so we started off with Syrah and Pinot Gris. In the mid-90s, those were kind of two unheard of, unknown varieties at the time. So now Syrah and Pinot Gris are really popular, so we were kind of one of the first ones to do them.
As they say, history repeats itself. And just as Dave grew up in the vineyards with dreams of making wine, so did a neighbor kid named Victor Palencia.
He grew up on his farm next to our farm here, and one of his older brothers actually worked for me for about 7, 8 years. And Victor was just a young boy that was kind of coming around with his brother once in a while, and when he was about 15, put him to work in the vineyard once in a while, and then when he got a little bit older, he realized that he liked to, he could follow directions and liked to do things and showed interest. So I started him out in the winery labeling wine. By his senior year in high school, his senior project was on how to make wine.
Victor was just 2 years old when his family moved from Mexico to make a new home in the farmlands of the Rosa District north of Prosser, Washington.
The fact that I grew up out on the farm was a huge influence. To be around the vineyards growing up was a huge advantage for me. As I grew up, I started incorporating myself a little more in the winemaking, and I found myself in it, really.
In 2003, Victor attended Walla Walla Community College, and in 2005 received an associate's degree from the Institute of Enology and Viticulture.
Growing up in the industry and being a part of this is when I went to school, was a lot of review, a lot of good stuff.
Now, some people might think a young college graduate might want to explore bigger things, but Victor wanted nothing more than to stay home with family and friends to master his craft.
We grew up here in Prosser, and it's been my hometown ever since. I love the town. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
His roots with Dave and the Willow Crest family were also a big part of his decision.
He's a mentor / friend. We relate a lot, I guess. The fact that he was a farm boy, I grew up in the farm. We both have really strong work ethics. I think makes for a good team.
The wine industry is beginning to look more to the southern eastern region of Washington state for award-winning blends and high-quality grapes. Master wine sommelier Angelo Tavernaro moved to the States from his home in northern Italy and sees the potential in the Yakima Valley for growth.
Here, the vines, they grow on their own rootstock. You don't have to plant rootstock or anything. Well, in any other region of the world, that doesn't happen. Because I think this is the heaven for the grape, and I want to be in heaven.